Finally, a win and a win we can be optimistic about, right? I think the first thing that we need to discuss was the pace of the game. The grab and goes from Draymond, from Dario, from Kaminga, heck, from the young guards. They were able to push the pace, get early and easy baskets. But what does that start with? It starts with defense, right? You can't take the ball out of the net and push the pace. Well, you can a little bit in today's NBA, right? But you kind of got to get some stops. And I think there was just a lot to be optimistic about. We'll get to the young players. I do want to speak briefly on Cory Joseph because I know that people don't really understand why he is on the roster or why he plays. I'll tell you why. He is a borderline elite defender. That's why he is in the NBA. And he does a lot of nuanced things defensively to keep the defense connected. Now, offensively, he passed up some shots, right? He was a little hesitant to shoot the ball. He's got to shoot the shots that are provided in the offense. And I think if he is given more time, he'll get more comfortable in rhythm offensively. But keep your eye on Cory Joe defensively. He's a dog, right? He's another high energy effort defensive guy. 2024 is almost here, right? And I think if you're like me, you try to set health and nutrition goals for the new year. Be a better you, right? But I think the problem is most of us, that month of December, we overindulge, right? And we say, oh, January 1st, I'll get on track. Don't do that. Give yourself a head start with Factor. Fresh, never frozen food delivered directly to your doorstep, all dietitian approved, and they have something for every type of lifestyle. Over 35 flavors to choose from weekly in their different meal plans. You've got over 55 add-ons if you want quick breakfast, on the go, cold pressed juiced smoothies. Now, I had just got done finishing a 3-bean vegan chili. Highly recommend it. There was a corn mashup on the side. I finished the plate. I cleared the plate. And you guys know I've been with Factor for a while here. They haven't let me down, and they've allowed me to stay on course with my nutrition goals throughout the year, whether it's the holiday season or whatever's going on, because it's so convenient and I know what I'm getting, quality every time. So head to factor75.com or click the link in the description and use the code alchemy50 for 50% off your first box at Factor. But let's not bury the lead. Let's talk about these young guys. Let's start with the rookie, Brandon Pajemski, Pods. I looked at the box score. He played 31 minutes. Kerr couldn't take him off the floor, right? And offensively, I think what you're seeing is his green light is getting greener. And that's not always necessarily a good thing for every player. But when you are as good of a shooter and offensive player as he is, it's only going to add to his confidence. And you saw him stepping in, hopping in, confidently taking the three. And you see that he's already accustomed to trying to finish over bigger, stronger athletes. It's not like a true adjustment for him like it would be for some of these guys who have always been the bigger or stronger athlete. And so Pajemski, offensively, I think it's coming together as far as rhythm and confidence. And then you just see the juice and the competitiveness defensively. I know y'all loved him taking that charge on Harden, 94 feet from the basket. There's no back down in him. There's no back down in him. And this is who he is to me, is what I'm seeing. You know, you say, oh, honeymoon phase. Are these guys trying? I think this is his basketball character. High motor, highly competitive, and a high IQ. And that's why Kerr is having a hard time taking him off the floor, especially when we're down some guards, right? Now, Moses Moody gets the start, and he missed a couple shots early, and I thought he almost maybe felt a little more pressure because of the fact that we all went to bat for him for getting subbed out of that game against Sacramento the other night, right? And all of Dub Nation was like, Moody's got to play more. Like, how do you do that? And maybe there was a little more expectation for him and his performance after that, but he settled in. He settled in and he found ways to contribute. And I think what I was most impressed with from Moody last night was his defense and his defense on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And he is starting to really understand how to use his length as a defender, right? He was, when you drafted him, you're like, oh, he's got a 7'1" wingspan, right? He's a bigger defensive wing with some strength. And when you're built like that, like he had a problem earlier in the last few weeks where he's kind of leaving his feet and getting on his toes on the perimeter with three-point shooters. And it's like, Moody, when you're that long, brother, pause. You don't have to leave your feet. Just continue to extend. And you saw these extended closeouts where he's just putting a hand in the face and getting these good, clean contests without leaving his feet, without selling out, and without fouling, most importantly, right? And then you're seeing the added strength now. What is this, year 3? He was able to hold his own against Kawhi, who, I don't know, Kawhi, he just didn't look as physical as he typically does for whatever reason, but maybe I got to credit Moody for that, in the Warriors defense building a wall, nail help, and all that. And then you had Jonathan Kuminga coming off the bench, and he's if you talk about the two thirstiest players on this team, it's Klay and it's Kuminga, right? And for different reasons, but ultimately for the same reason. And if you're a young guy and you're looking for that second big contract, I think what some of these guys have to understand, and a player like Kuminga, you don't have to be a 20-point scorer to get paid, right? If he was averaging 14, 6, and 5, that you can still be every bit, reach your potential that way. Be a more complete player, have a more complete floor game. And that's what we saw last night from Kuminga. And it was maybe the best example of him using all his athletic ability and his gifts, his physical traits. He was protecting the rim, contesting shots. He was rebounding. He was running the floor. He was patient offensively, and he got rewarded. The ball got swung around, right? And the pace, the ball pings around quicker and it becomes contagious, right? It's like, oh, there was just 2 passes. I better not just jack a shot up, right? Because when it's slower, I think guys get more anxious to shoot, right? And the ball doesn't ping around. So the pace certainly helped the young guys. And I hope it's a performance that Kuminga can build on, because we need his athleticism, not just to score the ball. We need it defensively. We need it on the glass, right? And just the rim protection was something that I hadn't seen from Kuminga. So it was just a really promising performance from these guys, stepping in undermanned. And I think that they showed that they're ready for this opportunity. They're ready for this opportunity. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Klay, because he got going there in that fourth quarter. It was a decent night for Klay on a 11-30-23. That was a dope thing by the Warriors in the promotion team, right? But and I highlighted it into today's breakdown, and I'm not here to beat up on Klay. I know Klay doesn't listen to people like me, because we can't do what he does, right? But I watch a lot of basketball. I've watched every single game of Klay's career. That's no joke. Klay, what I'm seeing is, because we've been talking about this in the shooting slump, obviously, is he's kind of off balance, right? And you see it in his landing. He's landing off balance, and it kind of, I had like an aha moment watching the game last night. It seems as though he doesn't want to land on that right leg. That is the Achilles leg. And it could just be apathy. Is that apathy? I'm going to butcher that word, like muscle apathy. I don't know what I'm saying, but I do know what I'm saying as far as what I'm seeing with Klay and his off balance shots. And he doesn't seem like he wants to, it seems like he's shooting a lot on the left leg. He's shooting on the left leg. He's coming down on the left leg, and he's not on balance. And he shot one in transition that Draymond got him, and he was perfectly on balance. He stuck the landing and he stuck the shot, right? But then he got going late. I still think that Klay has to figure out there is a mechanical thing. But I know we've been focusing on the psychology of a shooting slump and where Klay's at mentally, but there is a physical thing as far as sticking the landing and using equal force on both legs to go up into the shot and coming down on balance, not on one leg and hanging the leg and bouncing back. That's what I would suggest for Klay. Stick the landing, and I think more shots will stick in the hoop. But yeah, man, I mean, the young guys, it's just encouraging, right? Because it's how it got done. It wasn't like last night, we could have beat the Clippers. Steph could have had a 40 ball, and and it was just right. It was too much of him. And you saw him in more of a distributing role without Chris Paul. And in the pace, it just helped everybody. It helped everybody, right? That said, the Clippers have destroyed their team, right? The Clippers, like when the Clippers brought in James Harden, it was like adding raisins to the stuffing. It was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, right? And I was taken back by down the stretch of that game when they was still single digit. It was just Harden with the ball or Russ in a pick and roll, and it was Paul George and Kawhi just standing on the wings watching. Like the roster doesn't make sense. And so as good as it felt to get that win and see the young guys ready for more opportunity, we also have to keep it into context that it is the Clippers and they're on a downward spiral. They look like they're just going through the motions out there. That said, we play them Saturday afternoon. Let's rack up the wins. Let's rack up the wins, right? So you got to get it where you can. As far as the injury news goes, first, I guess I'll address Andrew Wiggins, right? He didn't play last night. And some of you saw my reel where that was a reaction. I hadn't they put out the news. They're like, right finger soreness, he's not playing. This was before they said he had closed it in a car door, right? All right, man. All right, like I'll say this. I speak about my daughter playing on the national circuit and playing high school basketball and all that. I see my daughter's teammates play with worse injuries than a sore finger from a car door. I'm just saying. I don't like the look either way. I don't like the look either way. I just like maybe it'll come to light that it's like severe. I don't know. Hopefully it's not severely damaged. But how do you not tape that up and just get in uniform? I didn't like it. Now, the GP news seemed super grim initially, right? Out indefinitely, torn calf, and now they've shed a little more light on it. They said it'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks, and it's a strain. Like they changed the wording on it, which makes it seem more hopeful, right? And then Chris Paul, nerve damage from a contusion, will be reevaluated in a week. So hopefully neither of those is too long term. The calf, the Achilles area, those are anything on the back of your posterior chain. So we're talking lower back, glutes, hamstrings, calves, Achilles. Those injuries can linger, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see either of them in the month of December. Hopefully that's not the case. But if it is, maybe it's a blessing in disguise because Pajemski, Moody, and hell, I even like what I saw from Cory Joe. It changes the dynamic of the team, perhaps for the better. Let's get this win Saturday afternoon in LA. That's a weird start time. Probably be a slow start. Guys are in LA. It could be a funky game. We can't keep taking L's. We got to get the wins, especially against teams we're supposed to beat at this point. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.